Okay, once again, hi everyone. It's nice to see all of you here. Thank you so much for those who are able to make it. And we'll just proceed. Um, okay, so just be sharing my screen. Sawa sawa. So thank you so much for making time to be here. Yet again, we've met for another amazing Scratch webinar. And today we just have a very nice and open webinar where we'll be discussing more about the experiences of Scratch in the classroom. And the question today is, does it work? Yeah, so let's talk, okay? So important tips as always. So please know that the meeting is being recorded, and I hope all of us are okay with that. So by virtue of us being here, it means we are okay with that. Then please feel free to participate, and as much as it's mentioned to participate freely in the chat. You can also come off mute, but in the event you are not speaking, please ensure that your mic is muted. Then at this particular point, I would like us to introduce ourselves in the chat. Just tell us who you are and where you're joining us from in the next few seconds. That is happening. So why are we here today? So the main reason why we're here, we just want to get to hear, especially from our practitioners, in this case, our educators from various schools, um, their real stories from the real classroom. So you've had a lot of experience with using Scratch or maybe Scratch Junior or various other forms of creative learning, and that's why we're here today, just to get to hear that particular experience that you have, and also get to learn what works and maybe what doesn't work in line with teaching Scratch or teaching using Scratch. And we are hopeful that this will inspire us to continue experimenting and learning new things. Okay, so icebreaker for today is fairly simple. I'll just like us to rush quickly to the chats and answer this question. How often do you use Scratch in your classroom? Is it never, once, weekly, all the time? Yeah. So the next 30 seconds, please feel free just to go to the chat and answer the question that is on the screen. Okay, so we have once, weekly. Yeah, so at least, yeah, we have Sebastian weekly. So I don't know if it's right to say that all of us who are here, um, at least have an experience with Scratch, and that's very much amazing. Okay, thank you. So we proceed. Yeah. So I wanted us just to, okay, as I always say, we can't have a Scratch webinar without talking about the 4 Ps of creative learning. But today, because it's all about sharing experiences, let's see if truly this what comes out, and get to hear other insights when it comes to creative learning. So for today, I'll just keep the guiding principles, and even I won't talk so much about the creative learning spiral, at least not at this point. Okay, so now, so here's what's going to happen. So I want us just to take a moment and think about uh, a moment where we've used Scratch in the classroom. It could be you are teaching Scratch or you are teaching using Scratch. I just want us to think about it for a moment. For the next like 10 seconds, just think about one particular Scratch moment in the classroom. Then here's what we are going to do. So that particular moment that you've thought about, yeah, I would like us to mention this. What worked well? That particular Scratch moment that you had in your classroom, what worked well? So feel free to come off mute or just to mention within the chat, what is it that worked well? We are going to go through questions 2 and 3 as well, but let's start by what worked well. It could be a specific project or a specific experience that you had in the classroom. And I see today we are joined by Sebastian. It will be quite nice to hear, maybe from any experience that Sebastian you've had. And I don't know, Sebastian, if you're joined by other teachers from your end, they are also free to mention something where they are.
Yes, on question one,
Yeah.
when we look at what is on Scratch project that worked well in your classroom, this one when I was teaching pre-technical in grade 9 on visual programming, they introduced concept of Scratch. So what worked well is coding, linking those sprites and creating animation. That is where it worked well. Then the challenge I had, some learners are they were not having those gadgets. So you realize that you will go with a few. Then another challenge is that coding, it has some techniques when you set some rules. Those blocks, you realize that some variables they require uh, more of thinking, the reasoning. So critical thinking to my learners was a problem. And then the part three, if a new teacher was starting with a scratch tomorrow, what is one tip you will give? Maybe to know the parts of the scratch. Uh, After knowing the parts of the scratch, also knowing the recording, how to create those animation, and you realize that it will be a very interactive with the time. First time, it will be somehow difficult, but once you interact with it, it becomes very easy, and you share with the learners. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Then, Sebastian, maybe let me take advantage of this opportunity because you're here today. So you've mentioned there are some of the challenges that you faced when you're having learners.
Uh,
One of them you've mentioned was critical thinking. It wasn't really coming out very clearly with the students. So maybe
uh,
you had some of ways in which you've navigated through these particular challenges, or some of the solutions you've been able to try out as a way of mitigating these challenges. So could you please share maybe some of those ways in which you've dealt with these challenges? And they can be more challenges that maybe you came across, not just that one you've mentioned.
so one, but a challenge maybe to overcome, I started sharing the concept with a colleague from a neighboring school. He also came to teach about Scratch. And then another thing, I created group discussion whereby I was using some learners to teach other, that is peer teaching. Used a projector. I use a projector when I'm now explaining to them. But now when it comes to individual, when they are creating those projects, I normally give them the gadgets. So when you give them the project maybe to come up with those ideas, you realize the majority will be unable. So it forced me to include a colleague who was sharing with me. Then I use those who finished the project early to help the others. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Those are very valuable insights which we can learn from. I see we are also joined by Daniel Kamau. So Daniel Kamau, we are talking about various Scratch experiences that we've had in the classroom, and what we are actually looking at right now is the three questions that are there on your screen. Number one, is what one Scratch project that worked well in your classroom, and maybe you can get a chance to, maybe you can also elaborate why do you think it worked well. Then what's a challenge that you faced, and did you find a way around it? And the last one is if you are new, if there's a new teacher starting with Scratch, what's one tip you'd give them? So there is no particular, necessarily no any particular that you need to mention this, but feel free just to say something about it. Um, Daniel, if you can hear me.
I started a code club at my school. Yes, and we have only done, I can say, one project, just one, because we started early last term. Yes, we designed a game on keeping our environment clean, where we could input some questions, and then when you fill one particular question, the area becomes dirty. But when you get it right, there is a bowl that collects the falling dirt. Yes, and you could find the runners enjoying it until the end. Yes, the challenge that we have been facing, especially in the schools here in rural areas, is about network. You find that our schools maybe don't have Wi-Fi, yes, but at least our after the HY saw that we are really trying our best. He has decided to input Wi-Fi in our school. Yes, in the third question about the new teacher, I would encourage teachers to, because now we are in the digital literacy era. Yes, and most of the schools have what we call the digital learning programs, the LDDs, the TDDs. Yes, let the teachers make a lot from them. Yes, because sisi na wanafunzi tunatumia hizo tablets and those laptops. Yes, and I can say they are really enjoying even those lessons. Thank you, Lazarus.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daniel. It's nice to hear that we're also having Scratch being taken up in various other parts of the countries, and hearing the amazing work you're doing at your school in Nyandarua County. And I'm happy with the initiative that you took to start a coding club, and that you're using Scratch. There is um, it's actually quite inspiring knowing that such initiatives are there and they're being taken up. And let me just say thank you so much as someone who's very passionate about Scratch for that particular initiative. And I'm happy that, just as you've mentioned, there is a lot of possibilities when it comes to coding. Yeah. So I see that we are also being joined by Humphrey. So Humphrey, we were talking about various experiences that we've had with Scratch in the classroom. Just as you joined, Daniel was explaining to us his experience that he's had with Scratch and their coding club. And what we are basically doing, we are sharing maybe something that worked very well with Scratch in your classroom. Then you're able to share a challenge that you faced, or let me say even challenges or things that worked well. Let me just not say that all are in singular, so there can be a number. What worked can be various things, and challenges can also be various things, and something that you can mention to a teacher who is new to Scratch. So feel free to come off mute and maybe share your experience, and you can also maybe use the chat area if that's okay, Humphrey. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Humphrey Duria, and I'm running a computer academy for kids at Likoni. This is basically to empower or to enhance STEM education for kids. My age that I'm basing it is basically from 3 years to 17 years old. And right now, I have total number of 8 kids that they are active, and others because of madrasa, the ecosystem of cost, they are attending maybe once in a week. So I came to interact with Scratch. First, I introduced it to Scratch by Janice. I had a workshop with Janice at Red Cross IOMI, and I was really, really interested with that. And I started taking Scratch lessons to my kids. And surprisingly enough, the first time I introduced them to Scratch, I just told this is a sprite, this is a backdrop, this is how you do it. Actually, I had no experience of myself at that time, and they did amazing work that I even don't know how they did it. They actually did a game, hata sijui jina ilikuwa inaitwa aje, and if hata nikiambiwa nifanye chenye walifanya, I don't know how they did that. So I was quite amazed by that. Uh, to go deeper on it, I started learning Scratch on my own. Right now, there's a game that I'm planning that they're undergoing day by day. So it's quite a complex game. It's called a landing rocket project. The project landing from the rocket that is landing from space to landing pad, whereby they making these scorecards when maybe he has missed or she has missed, you're going to tell her or him that you have missed, then you have to redo it. So I've been going, me myself, I'm learning as I'm teaching them too. So I'm doing research, what I'm going to do, the next we are going to do together. So I do, then we do. For example, it's not going right, then I have to do research, maybe use ChatGPT, AI, use Google. I unlock, then I'm going to teach them too. So I'm looking forward for more projects that I'm going to learn. I'm going to teach them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Humphrey. It's amazing that you're able just to take it up, even if you're very new to Scratch, and your experience and you've been able to share are quite humbling. Then you've said that you're learning as well. So there's something called lifelong learning, and I'm just happy to hear that it's something that you're also practicing as well. At this particular point, I'd also like to ask, maybe there are some challenges that you faced during your entire experience or with the initiative that you are undertaking. Please feel free to mention them, and you can also maybe say one or two ways in which you're able to work around it. And even if you're not able to work around them, it's still okay. But please feel free to mention any challenges that you faced. Yeah.
So far, since I started interacting with Scratch, I've not faced any challenge. It's just exploring new things every day. Like this thing was there, this thing was there. So maybe I'll encounter a challenge maybe in the future, but for now, it's just exploring new things and new projects.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm happy you mentioned that. It doesn't mean that you need to have challenges. Yeah, it's still the same. All the same. Maybe your work you've not encountered any. You're praying that maybe you don't encounter any challenges, but in the event maybe they come up, may they also offer good learning opportunities for about that. Okay, and maybe I might have missed it. Is there something, a tip that you could give someone who is new to Scratch, a teacher who'd like to start using Scratch, let's say tomorrow? What's one tip you'd give them?
Uh, Me?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Go
So
ahead.
the only thing that I will advise the new teacher that's going to interact, first, it's all about passion. You need to know, because Scratch, you don't even need to know the coding using Arduino, maybe. Just use blocks that give you the platform. This will give you the sketch of what you're going to do, the bigger project. Like for example, the landing the rocket. You are going to command the rocket when you press the upper key. you should go, maybe you should change the direction by -1, -2, should change x by -2 or y by -2, I'm a +2. So this, it gives the fundamental basic or the coding fundamentals while you're not coding using the real platform, maybe Arduino or maybe using maybe C++ or, you know. So it's first need maybe passion, have to passion to coding, passion to learn, passion to explore you yourself. Yeah, so it's all about passion. It's all about also understanding and exploring. You cannot sleep and wake up and know how to build a project or teach someone a project, or you don't know. You cannot assume. So you have to practice. You have supposed to have passion to put into practice so that you can deliver.
Okay. Thank you so much, Humphrey, for those great insights, and I'm very happy with what you've been able to mention. And at this particular point, I would like us to take a step back. Yeah, just a step back. There are these particular slides that I omitted at some point because I was also hoping that they would come up. And just to take the last point that Humphrey has mentioned, he's talked about passion. Yeah, and how important passion is when it comes to using Scratch in the classroom. And I'm happy that it has come out very clearly and it's shown by the work that you're doing. And I'm also very keen just to also capture something that Sebastian said at the beginning, that he employed the use of peer-to-peer learning when he was sharing insights with the teachers, and also they're also able to work on various projects. So these particular principles of creative learning, they are coming out very clearly in the way that we work, in the way that we use Scratch, and they are very much important. And I'm also happy that someone mentioned that there is a purpose that comes with all this, and these are very much clear when it comes to the guiding principles. Another thing that I also had Humphrey mentioned, you talked about understanding the fundamentals, the basics, and you've worked from a point where no one knows any bit of coding to a point where now you're working on the landing the rocket project. So, and that's the beauty with Scratch, for example. So the low flows, what it means it anyone can get started on Scratch at any point. It's very easy. You don't need to have a coding background. And then what the wide walls now bring about, it's that Scratch is applicable in various contexts. So there are those of you who've talked about having coding clubs, like for example Daniel and also Humphrey, the work you've done with the students, and now Sebastian also mentioned an element of the curriculum that is being taught in school. So you've realized that Scratch has a very wide appeal to various learning areas, to various interests and passions, and I'm happy with how it has come out very clearly. And the other thing, when we talk about high ceiling, so your imagination is you're only limited by your imagination. So whatever you want to build with Scratch, like now Humphrey with the project you've talked about, and how different it is, how far it has come from just learning the basics. You see that you can actually go very much further using Scratch when it comes to that particular to learning and being able to apply it in various areas. Okay. So thank you so much about all those experiences that you've been able to share. And at this particular moment, I would also like to throw this again now to everyone who's here. Um, uh, in one sentence, what will you try in your classroom next? From all the insights you've been able to draw today and all that has been mentioned, what is that one thing? What is it that you will try in your classroom next? I want to leave it very open for anyone who wants to come off mute. Please feel free to do so. Anyone who wants to use the chat area, yeah, you're free as well. Share. Sebastian says that he'll ensure that his learners can create projects independently. Yeah, thank you so much. That's very important. Yeah. Faith says it would be interesting to create projects around internet safety, especially for a group that interacts with digital devices. Wow, very, very interesting. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And I'm happy with the way it still brings about that element of Scratch being very much relevant in various other areas, and not just those which are purely academic. Yeah, because now you're talking about internet safety, and you also understand that there are also components of Scratch where you can work online as well. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Okay, Magdalene has raised her hand. Please go ahead, Magdalene.
Um, Thank you, Lazarus. I think I would love to explore how best we can bring or we can teach literacy topics using Scratch.
Nice as well. Yeah. Thank you so much, Magdalene, for that. Yeah. And it's also quite nice that you mentioned that, since there are those who might also think that Scratch is primarily for those who want to do coding, programming, or things along the lines of technology and such. Yeah, but we also see the components of literacy being ways in which Scratch can also be utilized there. So we have it is from from Jane, who says, try a science simulation project for my class, water cycle simulation project, or even photosynthesis. Wow, thank you so much. Yeah, I see applications in science. Then Daniel Kamau, I have young class of grade 4 learners. We are creating learners will create an interactive game where a character explores Kenyan wildlife parks, collecting facts about animals and avoiding obstacles. Daniel, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're able to come up with, and I hope that once you've done this, you can also share this with us, and it will be quite interesting to see. Thank you so much. Then we have from Magdalene, with or I think this is a build up or an addition to what you mentioned with literacy. So this includes storytelling and also syllables. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you so much, Daniel. Yeah, we can't wait. Okay, so for those who'd like to continue sharing, please do so in the chat. And if you'd also like to maybe also come off mute, it's still fairly open. So now as we proceed, and we are heading to the close of uh, our interaction today. Excuse me. So I'd like to share with you some resources. So it's important to know that after the webinar, by the start of next week, you'll get a copy of this particular presentation with all the links that are here, and also a link to the video recording if you'd like to come back to it at some point. So the resources that we have the link to our EduTab Golan. This is our learning platform which contains courses. And a good example will be our Scratch course for educators. Then we have link to the Scratch website. And for those who would also like to join our WhatsApp community, you can also do so. So the links will be shared in the chat in the next few minutes. Then they also have link to Scratch Studio, where you can also get to see some of the projects that we've been able to create or have been created by other children or other people who've been using Scratch, including teachers. And in the end, we're also going to share with you just quickly a short feedback survey that you can also help to answer and give us more insights on how we can continue to improve our programs. So if you check right now on the chat, you'll see a list of all the links. And even if you're not able to go through all of them by the time we finish in the next few minutes, please note that they are going to be shared um, through the presentation in the beginning of next week. So at this particular point, I'd also like to just request you to take a moment to do the feedback survey, which is the last link on the chat there, and just to give us more insights on how we can best improve our programs, even starting with this webinar. Okay, so as we close, I'll also just say, if anyone has any burning question or any burning insight or anything to mention, this is your moment. Particular moment, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for those valuable insights. And I can't wait to see what we can be able to come up with from what we've been able to learn today.